Hey, kids, it's another episode of the Drive to School podcast where I don't have any friends, but I have enough time to talk at you about an important theological topic. Today's apologetical theological question that we're going to be tackling is this: Christians often argue for God's existence by suggesting the universe needs an initial cause, but what caused God? And we would say nothing. Shortest podcast. It's great. It's one of those actual philosophical approaches to proving that God might exist, or at least proving in theory. See, here it is the thing. It's something that we get from Aristotle, and then Aquinas sort of baptized it. But it's this: it's the idea of the unmoved mover. That if things are in motion right now, what started it? That if there is a creation right now, what created us? Because something had to have turned inorganic matter, rocks, into organic matter, us, even just what made the rocks. It sort of goes like this. So you can look around and you can see objects are in motion. It's something that is just measurable. Things are moving down here. Things are alive down here. And well, anything that is in motion was put in motion. It was caused to be in motion by another thing. So think about it like this: if you see a ball rolling down the street, like that didn't just happen. Something moved the ball. A kid threw the ball or rolled the ball. The wind blew the ball. Something happened to the ball to put the ball in motion. And this happens across generations too. For example, when a mommy and a daddy love each other very much and get married, they made you. And if you can see a tree in your yard, you can assume that it grew from a seed. For something to be in motion, something had to put it in motion. And we can sort of say that, like, you can just sort of assume in theory this goes back to infinity, but infinity is kind of a theory thing. Like, there actually had to be a start somewhere. It's not actually possible in reality to just say, and it goes back infinite. So if there is the very first thing that moved, that means nothing moved it. If nothing moved it, it has to be sort of from outside of our creation. This unmoved mover outside of creation would be what we call God. So nothing moved God. Nothing caused God. God simply is. You see it in His name, I am. You see it in the way that He speaks. I am the first and the last. That the speaking about being before creation and bringing all things into creation. Nothing caused God. He simply was. Before there was even time to measure, there was God. In fact, God created time. He separated day from night. God made time for us, because without it we get real confused. It's why there are so many questions about eternity. But here's the thing: this idea of the unmoved mover, it's a proof for the existence of God. But I kind of have to do the air quotes because people argue against it. One, it assumes sort of a linear time. There's a beginning and an end. And sometimes people now will talk about this to sort of usually dodge the thing. They'll talk about creation. Well, they won't say creation because the creator. They'll talk about existence as circular. So they'll talk about, so the Big Bang, which started little, blew up, and will eventually contract and just sort of keep repeating. See, it's circular, and not linear. So you can't really talk about a beginning if it's just always been round and around. It still sort of causes the question though of, like, well, what started it? What started it moving, didn't it? But the other thing is, it doesn't actually define who God is, just that there would be such a thing as God. It's actually just, even in the person who sort of first thought about it and put it to paper, that the philosopher Aristotle was a pagan who didn't believe in our God. Also thought the universe was eternal, even though he wrestled with this thing. Even the second person who we really get this from, Thomas Aquinas, the ancient patristic philosopher. He was a Roman Catholic from the 12th century, I believe. Uh, Philosopher who thought about these. He already believed in God, and so this was sort of, for those who believe, this might be proof that you're on to something. Um, that's okay. Like, it's actually okay that this argument of the unmoved mover doesn't sort of convince people to believe in God, because, well, I cannot by my own reason or strength believe in Jesus Christ my Lord or come to Him, but the Holy Spirit has called me according to the gospel. See, the idea of the unmoved mover is, it's a really important philosophical truth, but it's not to sort of convince somebody that there is a God, but rather to defend the idea that you're onto something in believing one. But the coming to belief. It happens through the preaching of the gospel. The unmoved mover, though, is actually really helpful for this. Because it sort of paints a picture of if there is such a thing as God, how he must work. If there is an unmoved mover, he has to work from outside, working it in creation. Um, and so if God is going to work, he's going to work from the outside in for creation. It's that whole I cannot by my own reason or strength believe in Jesus Christ, my Lord, or come to him, but the Holy Spirit has called me by the power of the gospel. That's again an outside working in kind of God. Because, like, how are you going to choose to believe in something you never heard about? The Holy Spirit speaks through men, and by the power of the Spirit, faith is created. It's a beautiful thing. It's also a picture even of how God saves. Again, from the outside in, Christianity is not a religion where everybody just sort of tries harder and then moves themselves up the ladder to heaven. No, the unmoved mover comes down into creation, bleeds and dies on the cross for you, and saves you. See, Christianity is not a you do it yourself religion, but rather God has done it. And now that it is done, it carries forward because the God who sets this creation in motion sustains it. It's not even just that he sort of, tossed a ball and the ball is just rolling down the street and he doesn't care anymore. Uh, Although I suppose that's a critique of the unmoved mover. It is that he daily cares for it because the ball rolling down the street can, well, sooner or later by entropy stop rolling. By friction, the ball rolling down the street can also smash into something. Uh, there's enough sin in this world that breaks stuff. There's enough things that have gone wrong in this world where a lot more should have smashed into each other and broke. We still do a lot of damage with sin, but God, in His mercy, He sustains this creation. He continues to work in it amongst sinners. So when everything is falling apart again, He dives down into creation to bleed and die on the cross, and there He has saved you, and that salvation has an effect. That hope that carries us forward. That He who has loved us allows us and teaches us to love others. The unmoved mover, it's this idea that if things are working down here at all, something probably started it, and if there's hope down here at all, something probably enkindled it, and if there's salvation down here at all, somebody had to have come from the outside to save us. Uh, this is maybe something to talk about then, not just sort of that from the point of existence, but even from the point of salvation, of hope, of what to expect from this kind of a God who would set all this in motion. So yeah, that I guess would be how we would tackle something like that. Come on back next time.